Hello everyone, I'm back! 2020 has not been the most fun year of all, but I wanted to show you some of my new stuff. Except of course it finally started snowing.
Yeah, no, I'm not going through that.
Yeah, my Cherokee is quite good, but it's not that good. So, since I cannot reach the place where I normally shoot my videos, here's what I've been doing over the holidays. So yeah, there was absolutely no fucking way I was staying in Montreal and its depressing lockdown for the holidays. So I went to Vegas, like pretty much all of the politicians that told us not to do that. And no, I actually didn't gamble a single cent. I am much more of a sightseeing guy. Since it was heavily discounted, I started by taking a room at the Sahara. Pretty nice hotel and still pretty far of everything, all considered. And I'm saying that because I walked the entire length of the strip north to south multiple times. This is probably the first time I get out of the holiday season less fat than I was going in. But obviously with so much walking, I needed proper medication. And more. And still more when I got back. Considering the content of my channel, obviously I went to Battlefield Vegas. I took the Time Soldier package and there was a lot of really fun stuff on it. There was also some properly atrocious stuff. For example, if you do not understand why people say that the trigger of the Starhawk is pure unadulterated crap, you absolutely have to try it. This is absolutely the worst. My absolute favorite though was the one that I took as an extra addition, the cherry on top of a very carbon dusted cake, the MG42. After I was done with the shooting, I went to the tank museum that is right next to Battlefield. And on a side note, according to my driver, a bunch of these tanks have actually fully functional armament. Which these little bitches should maybe remember if they really want to piss off the red states. Obviously they had a bunch of American tanks, including M1, Shermans, there was a tank from the Engineering Corps, they also had a bunch of Leopards, and I believe I also saw, what was it? An M48. Thank you, War Thunder. Obviously, I also went to visit the other casinos, which on the outside looked from good to just weird. For example, the Venetian and the Mirage are examples of really good looking ones. Then you get to those like the Circus that look like Pennywise would assault you in the corridor, or you have something like the New York or the Excalibur that look like a Disney knockoff, or the Sphinx at the Luxor who really seems to want to die. I decided against getting a helicopter tour, but I went to the Link Queue, or rather behind the Link Queue, to get to the giant Ferris wheel and then afterward to the commercial street right next to it. Honestly, from all the way up there, you can appreciate how big Las Vegas really is compared to just the strip. Obviously, I could not pass on getting some night shots, so I walked the strip again, in the other direction this time. So the next day I went to the Mob Museum. Strangely enough, there was no wing for the Democrats, but I got to see a lot of the things that led to the creation of Las Vegas, including the Prohibition, or the creation of the Flamingo Hotel, which is apparently one of the very first casinos to really encapsulate this idea of entertainment, gambling, and shows all inside of the same place. The last part of the exposition is probably the most interactive one, I would say, meaning that in the basement there is a reproduction of a speakeasy, which was a clandestine bar during the Prohibition. So obviously, considered I still was walking everywhere, I got some more medication. I also went to see the Grand Canyon. Obviously this time I did not walk there. It was a bit disappointing because all of the shows were cancelled either because of COVID or because it was winter. I'm not entirely sure, but you could still see that, yeah, that thing is deep. And you can pretty much guess why there are so many ravens around. I pretty much ended my trip by going to the few other animal attractions. I went to the Shark Reef at the Mandalay Bay. I went to see, the felines at the, how is it called? The Siegfried and Roy, I believe, next to the Mirage, I believe. What else did I do? I went to see the dolphins, obviously, because I like dolphins, and no, I'm not gay. and since I somehow managed to do everything I wanted to do in the short time that I was there, I decided to just stop at another gun club. The Strip Gun Club, which ironically was right next to my hotel and I had absolutely not seen on a map before, or the multiple times that I walked in front of it. I chatted quite a bit with the people there. On a side note, nobody seems to believe that Nevada went blue. Absolutely nobody. And after that, I tried the FN45, the M240. I also had fun with the M107. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what the last machine gun was. And just on a small engineering note, because I'm an engineer, you will notice that they have an M2 Browning that was chromed. They told me that when they did the chroming, they actually had to go back and remove the chrome in a bunch of places because the tolerances got too tight. So, if you are developing your own firearm, remember to always leave space for it to work. On yet another side note, I am working on mine, but that's for another episode. And so on Christmas, obviously, I went to stuff my face. Specifically, I went to the Capitol Grill to have filet mignon and potatoes, with more medication, obviously. Extremely good restaurant, I cannot recommend it enough. Just remember it's fairly expensive. So that's what happened for a very necessary vacation. Since then, I've been working on a crypto farm project in Alberta, because the Bitcoin rates are kinda crazy, and considering the states that I'm interested in the US are also closer to the west, I think I might actually move there semi-permanently for now. I'm gonna see what's going to happen for the rest of the year. In the meantime, I wish you a happy new year and we'll see if I can find a new gun range. Salut, bonsoir!